Hello, everyone. Welcome to my show. Autumn is here. I'm Francine Crawford. I am your host. I am so excited today because this is my 100th show. 100 shows. I've done about 90 interviews, but 100 shows. And I'm so grateful for those people who have talked to me, who've shared their knowledge, their wisdom, who've shared their stories. I so appreciate it. And I'm going to keep going. And I'm hoping that people out there are getting help and getting some information that they may not have known before. So I'm so grateful that I was able to share 100 episodes of Autumn is Here. Today I want to speak to you about, can you survive caregiving? Now that may sound a bit dramatic, but I know firsthand that caregiving can be overwhelming. No matter how much you love the person, no matter how much the person loves you, caregiving can be overwhelming. There are so many things that happen and come up that you're not expecting, and you have to make split decisions. So it's real. And caregiving affects you physically, emotionally, and mentally. So there are times when you're going to have to deal with some tough situations. You're going to have to answer for the person. You're going to have to be their spokesperson. You're going to have to understand their health and their benefits. You're going to have to understand their conditions and the disease or the illness that they have. And that puts a lot of burden on you, especially if you already have things that you're doing in your regular daily life, like you have children that you're taking care of or you're working. You still have to be attentive to this other person. And nobody really wants to have to care for their loved one, because that means that their loved one is ill or sick, and nobody wants their loved one to be ill or sick. But it does happen. And that's why I say either you're going to be a caregiver or you're going to need care one day. And we need to be more aware of that. What happens is a lot of people call me, and they call me in a time of something happening or a crisis or something they don't know. You know, my uncle is doing this and doing that. Do you know what that is? Or I'm getting to run around trying to take care of stuff for my parent. Can you point me in the right direction? Or I don't understand Medicaid and Medicare. And that's what Autumn is here for. It's here for resources. I am not the health professional. I'm not a social worker or anything like that. But Autumn is here has this information for caregivers, because just that, caregiving can be overwhelming. There are so many unexpected things that can happen. There are things that are unavoidable that you have to deal with, and you may not really want to. And let's be real. You're not always 100%. You're not always wanting to deal with cleaning up your parent because they pooped again and you just changed them. You may not feel like, okay, taking them to this doctor's appointment because you have to and you do it. It's unavoidable. But this doctor's appointment is going to be long, or my parent or my grandparent or whoever I'm taking care of is going to be cranky. They don't feel like going out. Caregivers have that all the time, where their loved one does not feel like going out and they have to get them dressed to get them to appointment. And it's always a tussle. You know, sometimes it feels unfair because the loved one sometimes can be irritable and can be unkind to you and can say things because they're frustrated or they're in pain or they just don't feel like being bothered. And that is something that a caregiver endures. So caregiving can be overwhelming. And the reason I say, can you survive caregiving, is because sometimes it can break you down. If you're not careful, it can break you down. It can make you physically sick. It can wear on your mental health. Are you doing the right thing? Did you make the right decision? Emotionally, you feel like no one is there for you. Sometimes you feel like, why isn't so-and-so, my family member, whoever is there for me? It's a hard place to be. It really is. Sometimes you can be very sad. Being a caregiver, trying to do the best that you can, and it doesn't feel like enough, because once you get one thing straight, something else happens. There's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of people you have to talk to, not only doctors and nurses, but social workers and physical therapists and, just all these different people. Sometimes you have to take care of their business, which you have to take care of. You have to maybe pay their bills, pay their rent, talk to housing, make sure their appointment is safe, make sure they have groceries, make sure that someone else is looking out for them. You may have to research some things, research equipment and things that may help them or help you to better care for them. It's something that is overwhelming in the fact that there's something new always happening. And after a while, sometimes you can get beat down. So you have to make sure you know where your support is. Please make sure you know that there's outside support for you. Please make sure that you know that tell someone when you get overwhelmed. Please do not hold it to yourself. It is something that you're not expecting it to break you down, but it can. It can split families. It can make people go against each other. It can make you feel isolated and depressed. So please, I'm not saying that it's all bad. I'm just saying that you have to be careful of these things, because sometimes people just fall into these traps, and they fall into, this trap of depression and not even know it, frustration, not even know it, when their things are bothering them emotionally and mentally. Stress can kill. So please be mindful of that. There are some times when people will help you out, and that's great, where they give you a break, where they say, you go out for these 4 or 5 hours, you go out to your friend's party or something like that. And all those things are wonderful. That's wonderful. But when you go out, people don't realize that there's a prep period. You got to prep the person who's going to take care of the person while you're not there. You got to prep either their medicine or their clothes and stuff like that, if they're going to change them and put them in bed or whatever. You have to do a prep before you even go out and get yourself together. Then when you go out, you worry about them. If you get a text from the person that's taking care of them, you're alarmed, you're on edge. You can't cut off your phone, because if something happens, they need to contact you. So even when you go out to have a relaxing time, to have time with your friends, sometimes it's not so relaxing. And then sometimes it's something where, okay, you are ready to go home because you're worried the whole time. Or it's something where you had such a great time, you're like, I really don't want to go home now, because you got your break. And that is normal. I want people to know that that's normal, that's real. And it's okay. Sometimes people feel guilty about having fun while they're in that position of caring for someone who is ill. It's okay. It is normal. It is normal. Everyone needs a break. Everyone needs a break. And sometimes people don't understand that. And that's why it's hard too. Surviving caregiving. Sometimes people don't understand. Sometimes you have friends that always ask you, come do this, let's do that. Why you don't do this anymore? And they put that pressure on you. They're not doing it to be mean or hurtful, but they want to see you. They're used to being with you. They're used to hanging with you, doing certain things with you. And sometimes that pressure will wear on you also as a caregiver. Like you feel like, why don't they understand? But people don't understand unless they're in your situation sometimes. They really don't. So if they're not doing it to be mean, but if you take it like that, it will bother you. So please, make them aware of the things that you have to go through. Because one thing I learned is that people did not know all the things I was going through. They really didn't. And on the outside, I looked like I was fine. But on the inside, I was stressed and frustrated and sad. And but you don't want people to know that. And caregivers, if you are going through that and you're feeling that way and you have people that love you around you and support you, it doesn't have to be a family member, maybe it's a friend. Tell them, explain to them exactly what you're going through. Explain to them the feelings that you have. Explain to them the stress. Explain to them the hard times and the decisions that you have to make and the things that we take for granted. You might get there, you might have everything planned, you might have your meals planned because you're trying to make sure everything goes smooth with your loved one, and they don't want to eat that. They say, I don't like that anymore. What? That's your favorite food? I don't like that anymore. Why would you make that for me? Why would you serve that to me? They'll do that. And now you're upset because you had a plan. You had it all planned out. So sometimes caregiving can be a situation where it can hurt the person who's caring for the other person. And I want you to be aware of that so you can live through it and survive it. And the people who are not thinking about this now, I hope that you think about it before it happens to you, because it is a tough position to be in. And sometimes it can be a lonely position to be in. And now we can take some steps that can help us to be able to be a better caregiver or be prepared for some stuff, and I'm hoping that people will just be more accepting to people who are caring for people. And it can be overwhelming, and it's not always you taking care of your family members. Sometimes people are professional caregivers and they're taking care of other people. And that can be hard too. You're taking care of people who you don't know. And you have to get used to them and acclimate about what they eat and what they want to do for recreation, and how much you can allow them to do and how much you have to do yourself, because you want people to be independent as much as possible, but it's hard. So shout out to the professional caregivers. I know that it can also be rough for you too, but we're hoping that people understand that caregiving is overwhelming, no matter how your relationship is with the loved one. And we're hoping that you're able to get this information and get some information that will help you before a crisis happens, before you have to be a spokesperson for somebody, before your loved one is ill and their life is in your hands and their future is in your hands and how they're cared for. The decisions that you have to make is important, but you have to make them. And some decisions are harder than others, but overall, we want you to know that it is not only tough. After a while, when you've taken care of your loved one, and if they pass on, you can look back at your memories and what you've done for them. Caregiving can be rewarding. When you've helped somebody have happier moments, when you help somebody to be their company, their companion, their friend for the moment. When you help them to, be able to adjust to their condition and their disease and the things that are happening. When you are that person that fights for them, when they need information or better medical care, it is rewarding in those ways. So we do want you to know that it is rewarding, but it's tough. So please consider it. Get all the information you can before you are in that position. And that's my 100th show. I just wanted to share that with you. Hopefully you're able to get as much information as you can from this show and other places, and you'll be more prepared to take care of your loved one. Okay, that's my show. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe. Autumn is here.